Welcome to WrestleVenture, and today we are doing a top 10 shocking moments of pro wrestling, WWE, AEW, the general wrestling companies that most people watch. And at number 10, we're going to kick things off with something that happened the SmackDown before Night of Champions this year, and that was CM Punk coming out as Thugonomics, Punkonomics, whatever you want to call it. It was just a crazy, shocking moment, as this list says. And I feel like this is a perfect one to start this off at number 10.
Yeah, this is one that, doesn't have too much impact on the wrestling landscape as of now, but it was something that was really cool in the moment. I feel like it's probably be something I would probably remember more if it wasn't in Riyadh, and I think the commentator at the time wasn't the best, but yeah, this is something that I think will definitely live on through pictures for quite a while.
Yeah, I love this. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I am a big fan of CM Punk, so seeing him do something like this was just hilarious. I absolutely loved it. I know some people, it might not be your taste of kind of humility in wrestling, but it definitely was mine, and I do think that it deserved number 10 on this list. But going to number 9, something in a more wrestling pace here. We're going to Penta's debut on the Raw debut on Netflix. A very big debut. Obviously has a very cool and unique presentation that they kind of built around him that made him just feel special. This was before Rey Fenix as well, because Rey Fenix was still under AEW contract. So it was a kind of weird time where it's like we didn't know if we were going to get the Lucha Brothers very soon or what it was going to be. But yeah, he had great matches. He had an amazing year, and the Penta debut actually meant a lot to the WWE this year.
Yeah, I think obviously we knew that he was going to debut on this Raw, but I think a big question was how would Penta look in WWE. He has a very unique wrestling style that's very hard hitting, very technical, and very different from a lot of people in WWE. But he was able to carry that on from AEW to WWE, and has translated very well. As you've seen, he's become one of the top guys on Raw nowadays, and he's somebody who's pretty much shown basically weekly nowadays, and has kind of like a mainstay of the WWE brand now. So yeah, I think him debuting was something that has helped him tremendously, and I think has helped WWE just as much as well.
Yeah, we haven't even seen him touch the tag division with his brother yet, so when that happens, I'm sure he'll set WWE on fire once again. But moving on to something that was very recently, something that just happened, it was Maxine Dupree winning the Intercontinental title. Now, I know the ending may have been a little bit underwhelming with the crossbody or whatever, but it was something that was unexpected. It was something that, you couldn't really predict. I know some people may have thought, 2 or 3 matches, maybe you could have came to this conclusion, but it definitely not myself. This was very surprising and shocking, and a cool moment just to have in general. I like those big surprise moments that happens on Raws and SmackDowns, Dynamites, whatever the case is.
Yeah, this was something that I was just seeing as I was getting home, and then I seen Maxine win the world champion. I'm like, wow, that's really crazy. Obviously, like you said, there was hints that obviously she could win the world champ or the Intercontinental champion, but being Maxine Dupree going against Becky Lynch, somebody who is in the history books, so seeing her join the history books now is something that's just as crazy. But yeah, I think she getting a big opportunity to put over somebody like Becky Lynch, and also being partnered with, in a way, AJ Lee now is really cool as well. So her being this big moment, I think, will help her very much down the long run. She probably won't hold this belt for very long, but now for this moment, definitely a very cool one.
Yeah, and for number 7, we have something that, all shocking things don't have to be big positive things, and depending on how you feel about this person, it's not going to be a positive thing, and that is Jey Uso tapping out Gunther at WrestleMania. But not only that, we're kind of just including his whole year this year of him winning the Rumble and just everything that's kind of happened with Jey Uso this year. We're kind of including that in this one. But yeah, Jey Uso tapping out Gunther at WrestleMania. Such a big moment, unexpected thing. Obviously, everyone sort of predicted Jey Uso would win, but winning in that fashion over someone as dominant as Gunther was just such a crazy moment to see. Whether you liked it or not, it was something to behold whenever you were watching. It was very unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to a lot of people's WrestleMania predictions, it was like, yeah, Jey Uso is going to win this match, but how? How are we going to get to Jey Uso doing it? I think you predicted that, it had some type of stipulation where he could use weapons in order to, get the advantage, but that didn't happen. So when we had the match, and it was just a normal one-on-one match with, very strict rules, and he ends up tapping him out. That is something that is very Gunther-esque. It's something that's I think it's so crazy. And like you mentioned as well, the entire year of Jey Uso has been a very roller coaster-esque year. Like you said, winning the Rumble has been nuts. The consistent runs on he's had on Raw now, where he's redoing his entrances, the pops he's getting. Definitely a very crazy year for Jey Uso to be now from a tag team guy to maybe the number one guy in the WWE.
And for our first AEW entrant of this list is going to Hangman Adam Page when he defeated Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title at All In. Really cool moment. Obviously, it's been a long story of the Death Rider just kind of dominating AEW television. We're at the beginning of the year. I feel like most people were kind of on the same page, saying this stuff isn't really great. But as they went on, people did fall in love with the Death Riders and fell in love with what Moxley was doing. Then once he did get defeated, it did kind of feel like a breath of fresh air in AEW. Now the title was on someone new. We hadn't even seen the title in so long because it was in that briefcase, and people were speculating if it was going to be smashed up and broken into pieces, or if it was going to be a new design, or if it was even going to be in there at all. But it did come out perfect for Hangman, with the belt being in perfect shape in that box, and just a big moment for him and AEW in general to celebrate.
Yeah, I think the lead up to Hangman getting this opportunity, as somebody who's been a huge fan of Hangman, seeing him go through the matches with Swerve, obviously, and then going into that Double or Nothing match where he went against Ospreay, and it was like, wow, it's going to be really hard for Hangman to get this win over Ospreay, because Ospreay's a guy who should probably be a world champion right now, but Hangman goes on to win that match. It's a huge moment. He, tells why he should be this world champion now, and, I got very much behind him, obviously not just because I'm a fan, but because I think what he was doing was very believable. And then when he had that match, it was kind of like, man, the Death Riders could still interfere here and get involved and ruin this match for Hangman, but in the end, he comes out on top. And it's just a cool moment to see him hold that world championship back up once again, showing that beautiful champion.
Yeah, and then there was also going to be the ever-looming story of still Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, and I guess you could include Will Ospreay as well, because obviously Swerve and Will Ospreay kind of sacrificed themselves to sort of help Hangman Adam Page get to that moment and kind of defeat the Death Riders leading up into All In, and defeating the Bucks and all kind of matches that they've had to kind of help him out. So when Swerve returns, he's going to need that favor, and then eventually, even further down the line, when Ospreay returns, he's also going to want that favor. So Hangman has a big task ahead of himself as a world champion. But moving on back to some WWE, at number 5, we have the Vision turning on Seth Rollins. This was before a Saturday Night Main Event in October. This was just a very big moment. It was a very brief kind of moment that we had with the Vision in WWE. It was a very good moment. It built up Braun Breaker, built up Bronson Reed. He got the big win over Roman Reigns. And obviously getting Paul Heyman by your side is going to help a lot as well, especially in the way that they did it, turning on CM Punk at WrestleMania. Just a cool, crazy kind of collection of things that came together for this to happen. But then it ended, and then they turned on Seth Rollins. We haven't seen Seth Rollins since this moment, and looks like the Vision are kind of going in a new direction now.
Yeah, I think the writing was on the wall, like you said, kind of that the Vision would eventually turn on Seth Rollins. It was always a matter of when, not if it would happen. But yeah, I think just doing it when they did was very crazy. Obviously, that Seth Rollins injury played into it a little bit. But yeah, I think ever since then, Braun Breaker is gonna help. Is gonna be a very helpful thing for him in the long run. I think now to be able the main star of this faction, it's not Seth Rollins center now. It's more him focused. I think he'll definitely be the world champion by probably by the end of the year. Even I think there's potential for that to happen. But if not this year, he will 100% hold it by sometime next year. So Braun Breaker is somebody who the stocks have gone up from this moment.
Then we're going to move on back to some AEW things. Something that happened at the beginning of the year, and you might be surprised that it did happen actually this year, but it is the Hollywood ending with Mariah May and Toni Storm. The beautiful match that they had, the hardcore, the blood, the tables, the light tubes, the tacks, just everything that they kind of came included with that match was just a crazy spectacle to see. The ending of it with the way that it said the end on the sign on the top and everything, and they're kind of laid out on the entrance ramp, kind of spread out on the table and everything. Just a crazy storyline from AEW. One of their not one of probably their best storyline that they've ever done, the best story that they've told, and built up the both of these women. Unfortunately, Mariah May did leave and go to WWE after this storyline, but leaving on a huge note like this is definitely something that is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of historic matches, when you watch them live, you kind of know exactly, man, this match is amazing. This is an all-timer. This one, you kind of almost knew that going into that. Man, this match is going to be really good. But then for them to do all this, I think was an overshoot of how good we thought it would be. I think this moment would probably be even in the top 3 if they would main event it, because I think that was something that really took away from it, that if you have the ending being the Hollywood ending with that final shot of them pretty much dead on that entrance ramp with the ending showing up, I think it would have been a perfect visual for AEW. How it would have been an amazing moment to kick off a good year for them. But yeah, that moment, I think even adds with it to being Mariah May's last match in AEW, where she would eventually just basically end her career in AEW. So I think overall that moment and this match has really revolutionized not only women's wrestling in AEW, but Mariah May, Blake Monroe, and Toni Storm's careers for the rest of their career.
Yeah, and then another woman this year that had an amazing year and became a world champion after a Money in the Bank cash-in is number 3, Naomi. Obviously, she came up big at the Money in the Bank, winning it all and coming down with that briefcase. And then she had a successful cash-in, and she did cash it in on Rhea Ripley and Io Sky at their match at Evolution, which was an amazing match, and everyone was kind of really into that match, and it was almost like you were so into the Rhea and Io match that you weren't really thinking of a Naomi coming in, or really anyone coming in to kind of break that match up, because it just felt so good and you were so like in the moment watching that. But the cash-in was amazing, the run lead into the cash-in was amazing, and then everything after that up until obviously she had to relinquish her belt, was everything with Naomi was good this year. She rose up a lot on my list of favorite women's wrestlers, and yeah, I can't wait for her to come back.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, she started this year phenomenally with the stuff she's been doing with Jade, and then going into that heel work she started doing, I think was phenomenal from her. And then, winning that Money in the Bank, it was very much thought that she would just cash it in on Tiffany Stratton and it would call it a day, something super easy and simple. She was on the SmackDown brand, but out of nowhere, she shows up at that Evolution match. She cashes in, and not only cashes in, but she wins in something that was already an amazing match in its own right, that Rhea and Io match. But then to have that cash, I think adds so much more to it. And like you said, it's kind of unfortunate, but obviously why she had to relinquish the belt is very fortunate for her. But, losing that belt after having this huge moment does suck for her. But I'm sure when she does come back, when she does, it will be an amazing moment, and she'll kick things off with just where it left.
And sticking to even more women's wrestling in the WWE, we're going all the way to WrestlePalooza, and that is AJ Lee debuting, or I guess returning to the WWE in 2025, coming along with CM Punk to have that really good match and surprisingly good match of CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, something that I wanted for a long time. I mentioned this on the channel multiple times, that if she did come back, that would be the perfect match that I would want to see out of WrestleMania even, but we got out of WrestlePalooza. And yeah, it was just a crazy moment, something that people didn't think was going to happen, but something that people always wanted and hoped that would happen one day, and we did get it in the WWE this year.
Yeah, I was somebody who I always predicted it for the Royal Rumble returns. Like, AJ Lee's always a good, layup for it. But after this year's Royal Rumble and she didn't show up, I was like, okay, I think I'm done with, seeing that she's going to be in WWE. If it would have happened, it would have already happened already. But for them to do it, obviously setting up those few weeks going into that, the feud between Becky and Seth and Punk and AJ Lee, was something that was really cool. So yeah, that entire thing was really awesome, and to see her face on WTV again is something that I will probably never forget.
Yeah, 100%. But number one, something that I'm sure everyone expected it to be at number one, John Cena's heel turn at Elimination Chamber. Now, obviously, the heel turn in general, everything that happened after that for the next, 4 months probably, wasn't great TV, wasn't great pay-per-views, wasn't great matches. But still, in general, the heel turn itself was just amazingly done, well done from The Rock and John Cena and Cody Rhodes to pull it off the way they did it. Where after Cody Rhodes told The Rock to fuck off or whatever his wording was with that, John Cena was kind of celebrating in the background, and then in the flash of a second, once The Rock gave him the kind of emote or whatever, then the turn happened, the kick in the nuts, the F5, the belt shot, the blood, the watch. Yeah, just the whole entire heel turn was just amazing TV. That's kind of the definition of cinema whenever people bring that word up.
Yeah, I mean, this was the start of John Cena's year, and this was something that, was setting up for something to be amazing. We knew that we would probably see some type of heel Cena in some way, whether it was for one match or if it was just, like we got, and that was, a long-term thing. But to do it this way, I think was phenomenally done. You had the cool setup that you thought Rock or Cody was going to be cool and help just John Cena help himself, but then The Rock makes that call. He has Cena turn on Cody, and it would set up for something that would be very risky. And I think even the idea of Cena turning heel was always going to be risky. Unfortunately, didn't pay off that you wanted it to, but I think that moment alone makes it worth it, just because seeing that every time is just something that I'm always like I pick something new up from that video. There's something that I always see a new reaction or something like that from that. So that entire moment is something that will definitely live on probably for the rest of wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think there will be anything this year or maybe in the next coming years you could include in that'll top this moment. This was something that people never thought that they would get. It was kind of like a risky decision. That's why it was probably so hard for WWE to book this, because you want to do a lot of things and put him in matches with a lot of people, but he only has a certain amount of dates where he was actually going to wrestle, and then there was other dates where he's only showing up just to do promos or kind of build up to things. But yeah, just something that we never thought we would see. Ended up amazing. It included The Rock. Obviously, that's kind of the part that was missing of the heel turn, was The Rock sticking around, and then the Travis Scott part wasn't great as well. But yeah, this will always be, as you mentioned, just something that I think everyone who watched it will remember, whether you're a fan of Cena or not.
Yeah, but that is our top 10 shocking moments of 2025. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. What would you have added or taken off this list? But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we will catch you guys in the next one.